100 sites, all good. Go up here to download. I had to disable my pop-ups, right? And so mine, I have an LSU computer, so y'all might have something similar to this. So if my pop-ups were enabled, right, nothing would show up. I would have like a block on this page. It's like, no, I'm not going to let you show up, blah, blah, blah. So I have to go in and actually pause that. If y'all are working on your personal computer, you'll be able to do that. If you're working on one of the lab computers, it might give you a hard time. So let's just see what happens when we go to download. And we're now, it's going to open up a new page, right? And so if your pop-ups are enabled, it like this won't even happen. So you have to go in and you have to disable pop-ups. So you'd have to go right click, go to settings or something. Lots, depending on the software that you're using, there's different things that you can do. Has anybody not gotten to this page? Awesome. Amazing. Okay. We're going to go to simple. And notice what it's giving us, right? It's giving us tab delimited, CSV files. It's going to be zipped. It's going to be 112 kilobytes. Mine is anyway. Yours will be a little different. I'm going to go to download. It's going to say free of cost, not free of responsibilities. We're going to go okay. And it's going to download. And sometimes mine does this thing where it says under processing for a little while. And I'm going to let that happen for a few minutes, maybe not an actual few minutes. And then what I usually will do is I'll either refresh my page, and then it usually works. They're also going to send you an email. And so you're going to get an email to whatever email address that you registered with. And so you're going to get an email that has a link to your data set. And so let me see if I got mine yet. And then if anybody's having any trouble at this point, now is the time to say it. No, mine has not come in yet. It's a big data set. Refresh. Okay, yeah, so I actually went ahead and refreshed my page, and now I have this option that says download again. That should work. There we go. Now I've gotten a pop-up. Right, so you all should get, and again, it depends on your settings. Sometimes your stuff is automatically downloaded into downloads, right? Sometimes it's not. I'm going to put my stuff in our folder that we just made a few minutes ago called Lab 23. And see what this is named, right? It's not the most helpful name. So now I actually have already gotten an email that my downloads are ready, right? And so I can go to that link to get to it. It gives you lots of different options in case you get pop-ups that give you a hard time, right? If you'll get something that looks like this, right, from GBIF, and it would give you a link, a zipped link, and you could just click that. If and when you all go to download your own CRIMS data, your CRIMS data will be delivered in the same fashion, right? They'll give you a link, and then you go to this download link, and then you can download it directly. Here. I'm going to rename this. All right, this needs a new name. This name is terrible. This is going to be named something brief but descriptive. No longer will we name things zipped file or shape file or anything like that. We're going to download this. We're going to, so species codes for plants are usually the first two initials of the species name or the genus name, and then the first two initials of the species name. So this is Baccharis halimifolia, so that's going to be BAHA, and I'm going to add the date, right? I'm going to say 092424, right? This is a compressed zip folder. This is in my lab 2-3 folder. Save this. And now in my lab 2-3 folder, I have a zipped file that's named whatever you named it. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second, make sure everybody's here.
Okay, so I'm still trying. For some reason, it's not letting me make an account with the GBIF. So once I figure out how to make an account and I log in and everything, that's when you do like the new project and everything and you download all of your information.
Hang on, Taylor, I'm going to email you this zipped file so that you have something to work with.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But we will need to make you an account.
Okay.
So we need to figure out what's going on. It could be it's sometimes they send like your, like, do you have to verify with your email or anything? I can't remember. I've made this account so long ago, but if you have to verify with your email, sometimes it gets sent to junk. So you might have to do like a search to verify it.
Okay. Um, no, I mean it asks me to do like the photo, like is this photo, select all the photos that are similar to this one, and I did. And it's just kind of like I don't know, like you did it and then nothing happens next.
I wonder if it's a pop-up thing. It could be because you're pop-ups. So it's not something that you need to figure out right this second, because I'd rather have you follow along with lab. But
Yeah.
like you may not need it, right, for your story map, but a lot of students will need it for their story map. And you will need it for your map assignment. So we're going to make sure that we can get you an account, actually. I just remembered that you're using this for your map assignment.
Okay. So
So
I should just open up like the ArcGIS Pro and then you're going to email me the data set so I can at least follow along with that right now.
I'm trying to, but it is, I can't email it to you because this file is too big. Um, hang on a second. Is anybody else having this trouble? Okay, hang on one second, Taylor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put,
Okay, wait, let me see. Okay. I think I'm logged in now.
oh, hooray.
Okay, so I'm at the, like the main screen, free and open access to biodiversity data.
Oh, thank you, Steven.
So can you kind of like walk me through? Oh wait, what did he say?
Oh, that's okay. No, we'll do this again. Because it's worth it. It's worth it here. I was going to upload a sample data set, but Steven sent a link to his, which is really considerate of you. Thank you. But let's see if I can walk you through this, Taylor, really quick. Okay, so if you go to get data, go to
Okay.
occurrences, you're going to go to scientific name, and you go Baccharis, Palamifolia, select that. Most important thing is we go down to location and that it
Okay,
works.
so scientific name. Okay. I was looking at the main screen. And then you said bacteria.
Baccharis. Can you see my screen? BACC.
Okay, I guess I gotta search it. And okay, Baccharis, what?
HAL. Do you not have two screens, Taylor?
So I have my two laptops, so I usually do Zoom on one, and then I have my other laptop. I can share my screen from this one. I would just have to join the
No,
Zoom on this
I
one.
don't need, it's just so much easier if you have one screen where you have the PowerPoint pulled up, because this is all like written down in the PowerPoint. So if you don't, because like,
Yeah. So on the home screen, I have like the scientific name, like the drop down button, right? So I did the drop down button and it just says explore and then it says Animalia, plantae,
no, you're
fungi,
going to
bacteria.
type in the name of the species. right? So
Oh,
you're
okay.
gonna go to search and you're gonna type it in.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I have.
And then you're gonna go to location and go to including coordinates. And then zoom in to the south to where we kind of want to be first. And then select, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
yeah.
And then select your box. And hopefully you don't have the same problems that poor Steven did, but you're going to select your top left corner, drag a box around it. And then our search results are as follows. And then you just go up here to download. And then you might have to do some refreshing of your page, like if nothing is happening. So like what happens with mine is it looks like this. We go to simple download. I go to I understood. And then it's going to take a few minutes. Mine tends to do this for a while. It says under processing for a while. And then I actually have to go up and refresh my screen. And then it'll finally give me a button over here that says download, and then I can download it into the folder that we need for class.
Okay.
And it will also email you a link to your data set.
Okay.
Have you gotten
Uh,
about here?
yeah, so okay, so I just kind of tried to like record what you were talking about so that I'm not holding people up. So I finally got like the Beccaria salamifolia. You scroll down, you click location, and then I'm sorry, it was no preference, including coordinates or without coordinates.
It's including coordinates.
Okay, and then I have everything else videoed, so I can kind of like go ahead and try to do that by myself so that you
But
can.
that's where we are right now. So just draw a box over your
Okay,
spot,
awesome.
right? So in location, including coordinates.
Yeah, and then you zoom in to where you kind of want to be at.
Zoom into where you want to be. Click the box.
And then just kind of draw it over like
Yeah,
Louisiana.
and it's just general. I just want to get you guys under 1,000 results. And then you go to download. And then select simple. You understand. And then it'll take a second. And then you should get a new screen that pops up. It'll say under processing for a few minutes.
Mhm.
I would give it a couple of seconds before. And so usually what basically right here where it says queued, if yours says queued like mine does, it'll turn into a download button. The other thing that's happening right now is it's going to send you an email. And so you're going to get an email that has your data set in it as well. But usually what I can do is just wait a minute, go to refresh. It's still running. It's like, wait, lady, this is 900. But eventually it will say download and you'll be able to download it.
Okay. Okay, awesome.
Um, okay.
Okay. And now we're on the same page now.
Yeah. So what
Thank you.
once it gets did yours download? Did you get it downloaded?
Let's see.
Everybody, I want everybody here, right? Where we have our folder that's made, we have our stuff that's all zipped up, we've renamed it, it's downloaded, all kinds of things. So for that like experiment that we just did, Taylor, like I think mine are already emailed to me. So there's a link that's been emailed to me
Yeah.
already.
Okay. And then so we're just staring at the file. We don't have to open up ArcGIS or anything.
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Because it won't work yet. So now what we're gonna do, we're all here, we've got the zipped file, let's extract it, right click, extract all. You'll get something that looks like this, right? Just make sure it's going to the right place. Basically what this is doing is this is taking a zipped folder and it is making an identical folder that is unzipped, right? So just going to okay. Now I have an identical folder under the same name. If you open this up, right? It's just got one CSV with a terrible name. So let's rename this before we open it up, right? This stuff is important, right? Just remember, like if you get anything like this, like, oh my gosh, like let's rename it. So we're gonna just index click on this 2 times slowly. And I'm going to name this BAHA original because I have it. If I make a new CSV that I screw up, I still have my original piece of data, right? Protect your original data. And so all I've done is change the name. Let's open up this CSV and take a look at it. Grading someone else's homework. There's no grades on here though, so that's totally fine. Okay, so you all are gonna get close. You're gonna get something that looks like this, right? It looks awful. The thing to notice, what it has done is it has pasted every single thing into one column. If you actually go to column B, there's nothing there. C, there's nothing there. This has all gone into column A. Okay? The way that we rectify this is actually like wonderfully simple. It used to be hellishly bad, and now it's kind of wonderfully simple, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to data, and we're going to go text to columns. Okay. Oh, all right. So what if yours looks like this and it's just got one line of data, it means that you're like me and you just have one cell selected. So I actually need to back out of here. I need to select this whole column. I'm going to go text to columns. Okay, and now notice I have lots and lots of different things populated. This is what it should look like, right? We're going to go to delimited, go to next. It's being smart about this, and it's saying like, oh, okay, I'm reading where these column separators are, right? That makes sense. You can go through and kind of check, right? And so these, and you could check it like if you still had GBIF open or something. I mean, I don't have mine open, but you could go and check and see what the columns were, make sure that they make sense, right? Like everything looks like it's split up properly. I'm going to go to next. Right? I'm mostly just going to go to finish, right? And so we're going to go to finish. And you're going to say, yes, I want to replace that data. And now we have something that looks much more better, right? This looks much better. So we have unique columns, right? Unique fields of data. We have, 900, whatever, however many rows of however many observations you ended up with. And we have all these things that kind of make sense, right? We've got, this is some GBIF ID number, something else, kingdom, phylum, King Philip, all that good stuff. We've got scientific name, verbatim name, scientific name, all of these different pieces of data. The most important thing that we have is this guy right here that says decimal latitude, and this guy right here that says decimal longitude, right? So I'm not entirely sure what coordinate system these guys are using, but I'm going to bet that this is decimal degrees because these numbers look familiar. We've worked with these XY values in South Louisiana. The length of numbers looks familiar. I don't have 30 degrees northwest, anything like that. I don't have anything like that. This looks like decimal degrees. ARC is going to be able to figure this out. But let's clean up this CSV now, so that we don't have, 64 rows of data or whatever, how many rows of data these are, right? The most important thing that we have is the decimal, the species name, and then maybe we've got this occurrence, right? Occurrence status present. You can't mark if the species is absent somewhere. It's weird. I mean, you have to develop these really specific scientific studies to do it, right? But it's very difficult. Absence is a much more difficult metric to get. It's equally, if not more important than presence, depending on what you're looking at though. But so for me, I'm going to go ahead and you can actually, when we do the editing lab, I'll show you how to delete all of this in Arc Pro, but you might as well do it with your CSV first. But wait, before anybody does anything, go up here. If y'all have autosave turned on, just turn it off. Mine's automatically turned off with CSVs. Usually they are turned off with CSVs, but sometimes they're not. Make sure that autosave is turned off because remember, we want to preserve the original data set however it was in case we screw up, right? We're being safe. I'm going to delete everything all the way up to column I. So I'm going to select and I'm going to go to Shift, right click, delete. I'm also going to delete everything from B to G because I know everything's in the United States. I'm going to delete D and E and D through F. And these are my preciouses. These are my precious babies, right? These must stay, okay? I'm going to delete everything now from F to, you know what? I'm going to keep all this date stuff. So I'm going to delete F to K. There's nothing there really. I'm going to keep anything that has a date on it, a year, a day, a month, right? Because you never know what format you're going to need dates in. I'm going to delete this taxon key. I'm going to delete the species key. I'm going to delete this basis guy. I'm going to keep this institution code because that's going to be helpful if I wanted to know where, you know, did this come from a Smithsonian study? Did this come from somebody on iNaturalist? As you can see for our species, it's by and large iNaturalist. So I'm going to delete some things here. Just cleaning it up. And this always helps you get to know your data set a little bit better. I'm going to delete this. Somebody named Jeff identified this plant. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that too, right? Just cleaning. I really don't need anything else except for like the date and the decimal degrees, but let's go ahead. I'm going to delete everything from license to issue. These issues actually might be kind of helpful because look at the language here, coordinate rounded, continent derived from coordinates. And notice how this goes with a lot of our iNaturalist observations, right? And this is because you can only be so precise using an iPhone, right? Using your iNaturalist, right? So it's like we rounded, we've got the approximate location. If there were a lot of other phones right by, then the location is going to be better. And then if there weren't other phones by, you know, nearby, something like that. So I might actually keep this issue, but everything else I'm going to delete. And then I'm going to save this under a new name. So I'm going to go up here, go to file. Don't just click the save button because it'll just copy over your original file. Let's go to save as. And look up here, it's telling me where it is already. So I don't need to go browse and look for it. It's putting it in this lab 2.3 in this Baja with today's date file. But instead of this being Baja original, I'm going to name her Baja clean. She's cleaned up. And then I'm going to close it. Right. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fields, 12 columns of data. So I should expect to see something similar. I don't know that if ARC will bring us all of this text here, but that's okay. She is saved. We're going to close. Okay. Okay, so now in our folder, we have zipped original, unzipped folder with the original data set and our new data set. Okay, so let's open up a blank map. Okay, if you haven't already done it, but let's say that you're like me and you have your homework 3 open, right? You can go up here and select something, probably this open guy. No, I don't want to open. Let's do a new one. Maybe this one. Yes, I'm going to create a new project. And so I'm going to name this lab 2_3. And I've been naming these project because we have a folder named lab 2-3. We might have data, we might have homework, we might have all kinds of stuff like that. But I'm going to name this project lab 2-3 project. It's going to ask me if I saved everything. Sure, I'll save that. Open up a new project. Hang on 1 second, guys. Around a little bit so I can see better and giving folks a chance. Everybody caught up and okay?
Dr. Demarco,
Yep.
so the ones that you didn't delete, it was species, locality, state, the decimal degrees, and then what else?
It doesn't really matter for this. I deleted a lot of different things, honestly, and I closed it. But just make sure that you have the dates and you have the decimal degrees latitude and decimal degrees longitude and the species, right? As long as you
Okay.
have those, then you can just close it down. We're just cleaning it up. Okay. So notice, so when I went to that, or is that helpful? Did I help you? Did I hurt you? So when we go to open a new project, notice it's not going to default to a map. It defaults to catalog, right? It's a weird thing. We're going to go to new map. We're going to open up a new map. Now it's going to look more familiar, right? I'm actually going to close this catalog tab. I just don't need it. I've got all my stuff over here. Okay, so this is where at this point in the lab where we've done this, right? We fixed this. We've done this. We cleaned up our tables, right? Now, tell me what to do. How do I get that table to a shapefile? And you guys are going to type, if you need help with this, if you had trouble with this for the homework, you're going to type this into your PowerPoint that you downloaded, just like I am. What do I do first?
You got to add the folder into the program itself.
Connect to the folder. This assumes that you already made it. Okay. So to do that, we go over here. You can actually go up here to insert and you can go to add folder, or you can go over here if your catalog pane is open and you can right click on folders and you can go to add folder connection. And you're going to navigate to wherever your folder is. For today, I'm just going to connect to fall 2024. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that I can see it. Okay. So once you've connected to your folder, now you expand all of those folders in your catalog pane, and you should see 2 CSVs. You should have your original and you should have your clean CSV. Okay. Now what do I do?
Do we need to do the export table to point class?
Specifically, you right click, you go to export, table to point. Okay. Make sure you know where this is going. Let's expand this folder. And you're going to put it in this lab 2-3 folder, and we're going to name it Baja. We're going to name this Baja XY. Why am I naming this Baja XY and not Baja PCS? What does PCS stand for? The way that I'm using it.
Projected coordinate system.
And what is the thing when you bring over a data set that you're not familiar with the first time into Arc Pro? What do you do to it? You never give it a projected coordinate system. It only gets a geographic coordinate system. Arc is pretty smart about this. It's like, I'm not giving you a projected coordinate system yet, right? We're not going to do that because it doesn't know what it is. That really strange things can happen if you went ahead and tried to give it a projected coordinate system first, right? If you don't make this mistake, it's hard to really like have it gel, but it literally is the most frustrating thing in the world when you know where your data are supposed to be and they just show up in a different place. And that's what it can do. So we're just giving it a geographic coordinate system. If yours doesn't automatically populate with this WGS 1984, we can go find it, right? We can't just select the drop down because it's not here. We don't have anything else added to this map yet. For a geographic coordinate system, we go to world. We go to WGS 1984, just plain WGS 1984, go to OK. And then go to run. Oh, and you know what? I didn't even check that this was correct. This X field and this Y field, decimal longitude and decimal latitude, didn't even check, but they are right. Thank goodness. And so check this out. Over here in Arc Catalog, I know some of y'all have noticed this before, but now I have an exclamation point. What all that means is that I have something that's named this already, right? I have something that's named Baja XY. I have it named already, so you can't name it the same thing. Mine is giving me an X table to point completed with warnings. I'm going to view the details. We've got some that have, it's something called null geometry. And so it's giving me an object ID. So it's like we have some points that were at these rows, you know, notice it goes in order, right? 2,204 through 939. Something in the way that latitude and longitude was entered. We can actually go and find these in the data set and see what their problem is, right? If they're like really important, we could go and figure out what was going on. Maybe it was just like an error in the way that it was written. Maybe it downloaded wrong. Maybe they just need to completely be kicked out, which is essentially what Arc is doing. Pretty much. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, it's totally, Nicholas, it's totally fine. This is just an example. It's absolutely fine. I have like 900 something points, but you guys might have 400 or 300, whatever. It's totally fine. Okay, so now I have this XY, right? Let's look at my attribute table. And attribute table looks like it should, right? It looks just like it should. It's got, you know, the fields, I've got the issues, I've got, you know, everything looks pretty right on. When you bring a data set into the map, it's automatically going to zoom to the layer of that data set, but everything looks fine. It's looking great. So the next thing that I need to do to give this a projected coordinate system is what? So remember how to do this. This is that second step, right? And so this second step, we go over here into the table of contents, right click, go to data, export features, see where she is. Mine's putting it in the right place. This one is going to be Baja PCS. I'm going to go to save under environments. Now I'm going to assign a projected coordinate system. This is geographic coordinate system is where it actually is in the world. Projected is how it's drawn on the map. Scroll down to UTM.
Dr. Demarco,
Mm-hmm.
I got lost after a run.
Okay, did it show up?
Yeah, it showed up, but I was like steps behind, and then
You're not too far behind. You're fine. So now we have to make a, okay. So actually this is good. So let's look and check and see what the shapefile is. Right click and go to properties. This is where she is. This is her name. This is her spatial reference. She just has a geographic coordinate system right now, right? To do any type of analysis, we have to have a projected coordinate system. So let's go to cancel. And now we're going to create, there are lots of different ways that you can create a projected coordinate system. There are like all kinds of tools in your toolbox where you can do these data transformations. It gives you all of these things. But basically what that does is it takes your original data set, this one is Baja XY, and it transforms, it does exactly what it says. It transforms the coordinate system. And so you have one data set that's got your PCS embedded in it. What if you get it wrong? What if it goes wrong? What if, and this is what happens is like you select the wrong one. It looks funny. It's harder to share with people if it has a projected coordinate system, all kinds of things like that. So I always make copies. I have one that's just my XY, that's my GCS. I'm going to make a new feature class, right clicking on the table of contents, go to data, go to export features, name it, make sure it's in the right place, name it Baja PCS, go to save. You're going to find the projected coordinate system. So you hop over to environments, click on your little sphere, expand projected coordinate systems. This one lives under UTM. So go to UTM, scroll down to WGS 1984, expand Northern Hemisphere, and then you're going to scroll down to our good friend, Zone 15 North. Select that, go to OK. This is what it should look like. And go to OK. Okay, and you're just going to have two data sets that look the same, except that one of them just has a geographic coordinate system. And the other one, the one that you would be submitting, has a projected coordinate system and a geographic coordinate system, because all projected coordinate systems have embedded geographic coordinate systems in them. All right. Okay. So in your PowerPoint, nope. Yep. Create the shapefile. Right click. What do? We right click in catalog window, go to export table to point, make sure X and Y in the same place. Just give it a GCS first. Okay. And then we're going to create a shapefile. Right click. Remember what ARC stands for. Always right click. And table of contents. Export. What does it say? It's like export features or something. Export features. No, it's data. It goes data, and then it goes export features. and add. Make sure it goes in the right place. Then add. No, UTM zone 15 would not be fine for the points in Texas. That is a different projected coordinate system. So if you were trying to do some type of analysis where you were comparing, you know, two species that were in those two locations, you would have to use a different projected coordinate system so that it was as accurate as possible. You wouldn't use 15 north and you wouldn't use 14 north, which is Texas. You would use something else. They're pretty good at working together. Like anything that's in UTM usually can keep it together, but like you wouldn't want to use, you would want to be a little bit broader, right? Think about like zone 15 north is getting really specific and zone 14 north is getting really specific. So you'd want to use something a little bit broader. And what that is, it depends, right? It depends on where you are. So I can't tell you like what's best to use for your region. You're going to have to look it up just the same as I would. And add the correct BCS. And for us, that's UTM World North Walled. Okay. Okay. So now if you look in our catalog, we have Baja with BCS and Baja with an XY. Okay. So now cleaning up the symbology and making a layout. Actually, what I'm going to have everybody do really quickly is we're going to make a subset of data. Okay. Let's grab all of the Baccharis that are in Baton Rouge area. All right. So to do that, you're going to go up to your ribbon. You're going to go to map. And then I don't have these notes anywhere in the slide. So, you know, make a new slide for that PowerPoint. And you can add these notes if you need them. If you had trouble with this for the homework assignment, please make sure that you don't have trouble with this for the map assignment. But what we'll do here is we go up to map. And over here in selection, you're going to have this option that says select, right? Select the little drop down window and select by rectangle. And then you're going to draw a rectangle around those Baton Rouge sites. Doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't matter. Everybody's going to be a little different. Okay, and notice a couple of things. Right now I have some sites highlighted in my attribute table. I have data in my attribute table. You better have data in your attribute table. I have a clear option, which means that something's selected, even if I can't see it. Like even if I was up here, I can further check that because check this out down here. I've got 144 of 943 selected. You can actually switch your window. And so now I'm just seeing my selected sites, right? Now I want to make a subset of data out of this. What do I do? We did this in the beginning of class. What's my first step?
You press copy?
No. You could if you wanted to do it in a CSV, but I just want to make it in here real fast. I don't want to take this to a CSV and then copy paste everywhere. What's quicker?
Do you left click in like your table of contents?
You
On
right
like the thingy that you have it all. Ah, sorry.
No, you're doing great. You right click in this Baja. Oh, but look, I'm in XY. I want to open, that's what I'm noticing. I've just got my XY attribute table open. I'm going to open up the attribute table for PCS. Okay. I'm not only going to turn off XY, I'm going to remove XY. Is that true? No, I'll just turn her off. Actually, what I'm going to do, and let me just make sure. Oh yeah, she's still selected. This might do some. So this is actually good troubleshooting. So what I did is because I selected by an area, I selected everything that was underneath that area. And so actually, no, it might not cause a problem at all. It might be fine because of the way, I think it's probably going to be fine. Let's just hope it's going to be fine. If it's not fine, we'll consider this a good lesson. We're going to go over here to your PCS data set. As Francesca was saying, we're going to right click on that. you're going to go to selection and you're going to go to make layer from selected features. And so this is giving me good information. It says this is just a subset. This is a selection of data from this original data set, right? I'm going to go ahead and clear everything. I'm going to clear it up here. Actually, I'm going to clear everything. So nothing is selected anymore, right? Nothing selected anywhere. I'm switching the selection back. Baja PCS, I'm going to clear her too. You should be cleared. Maybe still look like that. I don't know why I have this one site. Oh, it was just like lagging. No, everything's okay. Okay. So now I don't have anything selected anymore, but I have a file. Well, do I have a file? What is this right here? What is this Baja _ PCS selection? What is that?
Not real.
It's
The
not-
layer.
It's not real, right? None of this is real. And one of the ways that we can tell, right, is because if we go to properties and we go to source and we look at the name, right, the name of this file is still Baja PCS. These are just drawing instructions, okay? And they only work in this particular project. So I'm going to close this. Now, how do I make this subset of data into a real shapefile? What do I do now?
Export.
Right click. Data, sort of export. It gets confused. Data, export features. Okay. See where it's going to go. And I'm going to name this Baja BR. And environments. Now what I can do, I don't have to go search for my right projected coordinate system. I'm just going to go grab the one that I know is right, and it's going to automatically populate that with the right coordinate system. I'm going to go to OK. And it's going to run. And then watch, she's going to show up over here. Yes. So this is not real. This is actually this data set. We can go ahead and remove the selection so that we don't get confused. And now I have all of my Baccharis observations around Baton Rouge area. And then I have all of my Baccharis observations everywhere else. If I want to make my Baccharis observations pop just for Baton Rouge, right? And so part of that is like displaying this against a background of everywhere else, right? And this may not be the data set that we would use for that. You have to really consider what you're trying to show and what's actually showing. Like this is really just showing us where people are that are using iNaturalist. This isn't actually representing the occurrences of this particular plant at all. You think there's no Baccharis down here? Not a chance, right? It's all over. This is just where people are. And because most of these observations are coming from iNaturalist, it is specifically where people are using iNaturalist. So this is too broad of a data set in general to really do anything super scientific with what we're looking at, right? It's like people are using iNaturalist here. They're seeing Baccharis. You know, it has all of these caveats associated with it. When it's not a scientific study, you can only be super general. But we're just doing this for learning's sake, right? And we're learning how to download weird data. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with iNaturalist data, but really what we're looking at is like where people are. People in New Orleans looking at plants. People in Mandeville looking at plants. Mandeville, North Shore, yeah. People in Baton Rouge looking at plants, people in Lafayette looking at plants, right? There's much denser observations in cities, right? Where people are, and near universities. That's a lot of it. Okay, so to make these pop, you can either play with the symbology in layout view, or you can play with the symbology in map view. I like to do it in map view first. So I'm going to right click on my big data set, and I'm going to go to symbology so that my symbology tab pops up. You could have just cruised down here and found it. We're going to go, I'm going to make all of the observations of Baja yellow. I'm going to make them yellow. And I'm going to make them big. Do like 8 points. And you could do a lot of different things. When we start to get into polygons, you may be like, you know, a lot of detail or big data sets you may want to remove. You can remove this outline color. You could change the outline color so that it was pink. You could change the outline. You can do a lot of different things depending on what you kind of want to display. I'm just going to leave everything alone, except that I'm making it big and I'm making it yellow. Oh, and look, it's purple and yellow. And so now we have this site where we've got, you know, okay, we've got all of these sites kind of all over the place. And then we have just the subset of data, right? Just this cool little subset of data. Maybe this isn't the best way to display it. Maybe there's a better way to display it, right? Like maybe I want, I don't know, maybe there's something special about these Baccharis here that we want to show, right? Like they're growing in urban environments, or like, you know, we're going to highlight Baccharis in urban environments. There's lots of different ways that you can show things, right? And it depends on what you're doing, right? But you're usually trying to show some difference or some pattern, right? And so, you know, thinking about the CRIMS data that we were looking at, basically what we're looking at is these are areas where it never gets too salty. And you want to look at that on a map compared to areas where it does get too salty for this particular turtle. And so we're trying to compare. Usually that's what we're trying to do when we're creating subsets of data. So we want to see both of these data sets in here. And so we're getting ready to make a layout. All right. We fooled around with symbology. I'm happy with it. It's fine. I might make the outline width like a little thinner. It's a little messy. You can do like 0.5 or something and make it a little thinner. Right. You can play around with it. There's lots and lots of different things that you can do. But I'm going to leave this about where it is. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to layout. So let's go up here to insert on our ribbon, new layout. Because of this area, let's go to letter, that's landscape. And I'm going to put layout up here. To close these attribute tables. I'm going to go up here to layout on the ribbon, and I'm going to select this view whole page little guy. Okay, and then now we have our layout made. It's like, okay, you said landscape. Okay, you said you want to view everything. Okay. What do you want me to actually show here? So now I'm going to go to insert. And we're going to insert a map frame. So you could have, like, we could have several different maps open, right? We could have a map that was just the Baccharis in Baton Rouge. We could have a map that was just the Baccharis in Lafayette. We could have just the ones in New Orleans. And so you could have these 3 separate maps. You could have a main map. You could have Baton Rouge. You could have New Orleans. You could have Lafayette. And you could draw all 3 of those separate communities, those maps on here. And you could just share a common legend. And you can make really, really, really detailed layouts. But for us, we're going to keep it pretty straightforward. We're going to select our map frame. We're going to draw our map on here. And we're going to see how it looks. And so the first thing that I'm noticing is obviously my scale has changed, right? I can't see my entire data set. And so see these little boxes around my map? This means that this is activated. And so I can do stuff in it. I can zoom out. Oh, I can't. I'm just zooming out in the layout frame. I can't zoom out. I can go, can I do this? Let's go over here to your Baja PCS and your layout table of contents. Right click and go to zoom to layer. There we go. Okay, so it is still mostly active. Okay, so now I can see where this is. And so you have 2 options with your acronyms. So right here, I have Baja BR and I have Baja PCS. I could change the label here. I could say, let's see where. Folio. Let's see how that works. So see how I did that, right, in symbology, and I'm gonna do this for Baton Rouge. Baccharis. Okay. And then we're still gonna see this Baja BR and this Baja PCS in the legend. And that's okay because that's the name of the file, right? So you can, I probably would count off for you if you did this, but the other thing that y'all could have done is you can actually change the name here, right? So you just would actually index finger click right here twice, and now it's active, and now you can change the name here. The tricky thing is, if you change the name here, it does not change the name of your shapefile. So it can get confusing to kind of bird dog that out, right? So in general, we'll leave these names alone, and we will either very, very clearly define them in your figure caption, or we will add these labels in symbology. So adding in a legend, right? Anywhere. And so for some reason, my legend items, it's just bringing over this one Baccharis, right? So I want both of my Baccharis. It's not bringing over any information. I think is odd. That's like a weird default. So we're going to right click. We're going to go to properties. I'm going to open up a legend pane. We are going to go to legend items, and we're going to go show properties. Okay. So.
Dr. Demarco,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how to turn off activation.
You'll have, so watch this. Go here, you go to layout. When it's active, it looks like this. See this little layout? Yours will be blue. Just click that and it just backs you right out.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. That gives me a chance to figure out what the heck is going on with my legend. Legend, it looks terrible. Synchronize with map, layer order, legend items, show properties. Let's go back. Hang on a second. Oh, this is like very odd. I don't know why it's just showing me that. Did anybody else's just do this? Did everybody else's show all?
If you select a different legend type using the little drop arrow,
Oh,
it
is that
changed
what
it for
did?
me.
I accidentally selected something stupid. Yeah.
If you just click, if you hit legend and hit the first one, it gives you the legend title
That's
as
what I-
well.
That's what I did. So yeah, so instead of, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I just went like this and drew it. Oh, now it looks a little bit better, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna go to legend, I'm gonna select legend 1, draw legend 1. There we go. Now it makes a lot more sense. So Baccharis, Halimifolia, it's got my 2 different Baccarises, got what I need. Remember all your stuff here, you can add a background. You could we actually change this to italics? Probably be pretty tough. Well, maybe we could, because technically the words Baccharis and Halimifolia should be in italics. But it's very difficult to change just part of the text to italics, like just part of it. It's rough. So we're not going to worry about that right now. But we would have a legend, we would add in our scale bar, which has to be in metric, right? Where you can definitely have one that's in miles. Just make sure that if you do any zooming after you add your initial scale bar, that it corrects with you. You're gonna add in your north arrow. Somebody had a north arrow I really liked. I like this one. Just this simple, straightforward little north arrow. Looks so lovely. What I don't like about this is how it like sneaks up to the edge of my map. So I'm going to scooch her down a little bit. Right. And that looks really nice. My legend I could always bring down here too. Right. I could always make it a little longer. Right, something like that. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. But this is where we could stop, right? We could absolutely stop right here. Save this, right? Save our project. To export our map, we go over here to share. You go to export layout. And just make sure that this is something that you can see, that you're happy with it, right? So something else that we could do here, like right at this point, I'm kind of hopping around, but at this point, I could hop back out to map. I could zoom in to just Baton Rouge. Take a second, but it's going to adjust, maybe.
Really quick, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
For like the North Arrow and the legend and stuff, is it okay if we like put it kind of like in the ocean?
Yeah, of
Do you know
course.
what I mean by that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Like you're not missing anything. It's not covering up any data. So mine took a little bit to adjust, but I zoomed in a little bit, right? And then I'm going to go back to layout, and I'm going to go up here to insert map frame, and I'm going to insert a new map frame, that zoomed in area. And it's going to add a new map that's just those kind of zoomed in. Right. And so I'm going to right click and I'm going to go zoom to layer. Perfect. Because see, all this text is going to adjust. That's messy down there. Right. And so this kind of goes hand in hand with what Francesca just asked. Like I could grab this and I could move this down into the ocean. Right. I could activate this map. Right. And I could pull. And I need my pan tool. I could pull all this stuff down a little bit. See, look what just happened. I accidentally selected a couple sites, so I'm gonna need to go clean that up. I could pull all this down, and then I could grab. Oh, I don't want to identify. Okay, actually, I need to back out again. Maybe I don't. I'm gonna have to back out. Yeah, so I got to back out of my map frame. I gotta go here, select this little guy, and then I can move her up, right, so that she's right over there. And so now I have, a couple, and so this could either be, so actually what I did is I just went to my original map and I zoomed in, right? I could just as easily add a whole new map, right? Add in those data again and do all kinds of things there. But okay, I need to clear my selection before things get any more swirly. Okay, so this is just an example, right, of all the kind of cool things that you could do, right? You could remove this background right here. Notice it's giving everything different names, right? So you could do map frame 1. This could be, you could rename this. I'm going to index finger click on this and I'm going to go Baton Rouge. And then map frame, this is my original. This is like all. right? Everywhere. Just to help, it can really help keep you organized if you have a lot of different maps on the same thing. But anyway, so our map is done, right? It looks however we want it to look. We make sure everything looks nice. Legend items are good. Really, really like that. That's so nice and clean. Go over here to your export layout. If this tab isn't open, you hop up to share. You go to export layout. This will pop up. Remember, we're primarily going to be using a JPEG or the BMP. Right? So some of y'all turned in some maps that were like super, super low resolution and like stretched out and just looked absolutely miserable. They were just terrible. It was like really, really blurry, rough images. If your image starts to decrease in resolution, you're having problems. So you either need to export the image differently, you need to be careful with your stretching, something like that. Like it should be clean. So I'm just going to go to JPEG. 300 DPI is sufficient. We do want this in color. Some journals, they just want grayscale. And I'll just show you, right? If you switch it to grayscale, will it change it right here? It won't, but you wouldn't get any color. It's fine. It's just like cheaper. And then we would just go to, where is it going to try to put it? It's always the most important thing is figuring out where your data are. And making sure that it's putting it in today's web. Go to layout, fine, whatever, layout. Lots of different things named layout in here. It's starting to get kind of messy, so I'm probably going to need to get some more specific names. But that's okay. So just go to export. Moving a little once because I've got two maps on here.
So for the mini map, should we have a different scale bar somehow? Would that
Yes,
get
you can
confusing?
add a different scale bar. So what you would do is, so see how mine is selected right now?
Yeah.
This means that she's selected. What I'll do is I just go back to layout and I go to insert. Actually, I go to insert and you'll go to insert scale bar. And that scale bar will match this zoomed in view. So it's all about whatever one is selected, right? If this one was selected, if I was inserting a scale bar, right, like it knows, but this one is selected. It doesn't matter where I put the scale bar, right?
So should we do that?
Yes, you can't, like if you're going to include, like if you're submitting something where you're going to include this map, you can. So I'm not saving any of this, right? So I'm just going to I'll leave that. So a lot of times what ends up happening is you're going to have your overall map, like your broader area map. So like, let's say this was just like an outline of the state of Louisiana or something, right? Right. Let's go here. Let's go. Layer. So this one, I'm trying to get like a zoomed out view. Oh, she's freaking out. That's okay, honey. That's okay. Right click. Zoom to layer. There. And so you could have, 650 kilometers. So see that? That's vastly incorrect. Right? My scale bar was like, it was like trying to do its best, but it's just, that is not correct. So what I actually will probably do is just like straight up delete this scale bar because it's starting to get overwhelmed. 650 kilometers for Southwest Louisiana is incorrect. So I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna go delete this. Right. And so this one I think is still mostly right. She's not totally freaked out yet. I'm gonna delete this too. I've got 14 different scale bars on here. This looks so messy. It's just like it's still thinking or something. What I might even do, well, let me show you this. So what I'm going to do here with my coastal Louisiana map, I'm actually going to turn off. Oh, it does it with both of them. Dang. Okay. Yeah, that's because I don't have two separate maps. That's fine. So I feel like I always get this wrong, but it'll be good learning. So click on your zoomed in data set. Right click on it. Go to properties. See if I can find it. Display options. There's a way. Oh, no, it's not even here anymore. Ooh. Okay. So you've got your smaller map selected. Up here in insert. See this guy that says extent indicator? You're going to go select that, and it's going to give you the option for coastal Louisiana. And sometimes I get these crossed, but I think this is right. It's going to create an extent indicator that should. No, maybe I did get. Okay, must be. No. Okay, so I got it wrong. So go over here. See this guy over here in your drawing order and just delete this. Right click and just go delete. Okay, so I got it flipped. I do this every time. Go up here to your coastal Louisiana map. Select that. Now go to extent indicator. Select Baton Rouge. And what this is, yes, every time I do it wrong. See how now we have a little box around the area that we're zoomed into here. Right, that's called an extent indicator. That's just basically showing us it's like I have a map, and I have another map, and this is the area that I have that's showing up here. And so we can change the color of the symbol, right? We could make it like bright red or something. We could make it thicker.
Could you do how we got the box of Baton Rouge there?
You
again?
just select this guy, and then you go up here in insert on your tab and you go to extent indicator, and you're just going to select Baton Rouge.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And this is cool because then you can just, so what you can do is like, okay, I have a orange box around my area, right? I can go down here, and in my zoomed in area, I can actually make the border for this that same color, right? And make it like a little thicker. And it just kind of helps orient your user to where you're going. So now I have an orange extent indicator box on my larger region. I have an orange regular box around my other region. The thing that I don't like is I don't need all of these points showing up here. Let me see. And this is, I'm genuinely wondering. I'm going to go over here to map. I'm going to turn them off. And then everything is off. Okay. Yeah, you have to make like a whole. Well, let me see. I don't think this will work, but yeah. Well, you have to make like a different map in order to get different points to show up between these two. Do you know what I mean? So you would just, instead of just like adding a new layout and changing where you were zoomed in, which is what we've done here, you would actually have to go and add a whole new map in. But so lots and lots of cool ways that you can play with this, right? Like you can add a bunch of text in here. You could put in a picture of Baccharis. You could put in a picture of yourself with Baccharis. You could put in a picture of the male plants and the female plants, all kinds of cool things, right? Like, and you can get so much data in your layout, like really, really, really good stuff. And I actually love this. So with our legend items, which y'all probably noticed, or maybe you didn't, when we changed the label, right over here in symbology, it cleaned that up significantly for our legends, right? So there's no reason that we would ever have to go in and actually change that name. Remember, you don't have to do this. You don't have to change the label, but if you don't change the label, then you have to define the acronym in your figure caption. So really quickly, let's go into Word and go to figure captions. Children are getting looked up. We're going to open up a blank document. We are going to insert, I know, our image from this device. You know, this semester, I was like, I really don't think I need a new laptop. My laptop's working just great. Everything's fine. And that's like, the fan is really working. It's really moving kind of slow. Maybe we should have taken people up on it. Right. This is only not confusing named layout because it's the only thing that I have in this folder, right? But I don't feel good about naming it layout. But look how clean that is, right? It's nice, it's clean, it looks good, right? If we just opened up the picture in Word, right? There's like even more. I mean, you can zoom in really well. You can always just like send an image. We go here. Look how good it looks. BMPs tend to look really good, but they're expensive, right? And so I mean, this looks amazing, like absolutely amazing. It's just really, really, really looking good. It might not look as good, right, in your Word document, but that's okay. All right, this is all solvable. Maybe it's a little too small. Maybe it's a little bit too big. Maybe my eyes are, having trouble, whatever. So figure caption, right? You would do figure 1, right? And you would be very specific, right? Observations, think about exactly what this is. Observations or occurrences, right? Of Baccharis, folia in Louisiana coastal region, right? And so one thing that would actually be great if I knew this here would be dates from date to date. And that's something that you can figure out. You just figure out your earliest date and your latest date. Those are really important things to have in your map is location and the dates. And so you would do something like, region from this date to this date, collected from GBIF, or so you wouldn't just do BBIF, you do global biodiversity, blah, blah, whatever it is, right? And then you could just say GBIF in case you needed to say it again. You could have the link to the website. You should have the link to the website, collected from global biodiversity, blah, 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 on 9/24/24, right? As specific as possible, right? If you had these if these were acronyms, you would need to define them. This is a species name, so it needs to be in italics. The only reason that this is capitalized is because it's a proper noun, beginning of a sentence. That does not need to be capitalized, right? Period at the end, text to describe it, all that stuff. Cool. Okay. So your first map assignment, I'm going to make visible right now, but it looks like you are going to pick a species, not Baccharis. No, you love it. Not Baccharis. You're going to pick a species of interest in Louisiana. You are going to describe the species briefly in your text, right? Fun facts. Write well, make it short. You are going to compare species occurrence data, right? So this has to be something that occurs in Louisiana, right? And you can compare, you're basically going to create a subset of data where you're going to be comparing species occurrence data either by time. So you're going to be like, oh, we used to see red cockaded woodpeckers all the time and now we don't see them anymore. Or, oh, we used to see bald cypress all the time and we don't see it anymore, something like that, right? So that can be a subset of data based on time. Or it can be a subset of data based on space, which is like what we did today. So it doesn't have to be like the most detailed, rooted in logic thing that you've ever done in your life, right? But it should like make some sense. Like I was interested in seeing, observational data for this bird or this lizard or this fish in this pond or this region versus this pond or this region or something like that. Or I was looking at it in 2012 versus 2022 or something like that. You can pick, right? And you can either sort that data in your CSV, or you can sort that data, you can download 2 separate CSV files from GBIF, right? And get it that way. You're going to compare these data sets. You are going to display these data sets. You are going to submit shapefile or shapefiles, right? So you'll have 2 data sets, probably the 2 data sets that you compare. Hopefully you'll be making 2 separate shapefiles out of them. If you do everything in just like, yeah, I'm going to need, so I say shapefiles. You're definitely going to need 2 shapefiles because you're going to need one that's like your primary data set and one that's your subset or something. You're comparing something, and so you're going to need 1 year versus another year, or you're going to need one place versus another place or something, right? So creating a subset of data, I want an actual shapefile that is that subset of data. I want the shapefile. Here, let me write that. Not fields.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way that you could just almost like pretend like you're submitting it to Moodle? So like, okay, so once we have all of our stuff done, like the map, you just completed everything, you should have all of your shape files and CSVs, whatever.
Yeah,
When
so
I go,
we did that at the beginning of class already, right? So, but check it out.
yeah,
So if you're here, right, let's say that I want to submit, here's my subset, my Baja BR.
yes,
I'm going to select everything that says Baja BR, right? Absolutely everything. I'm going to
yeah, and then
unselect these guys, right? And so I could zip this up. So I'm going to right click and go to compress, send to compressed folder. I could zip these up and then I would have Baja BR. Or what I could even do is I could, if your names are clear and you know that I'm not going to like lose my mind trying to figure out what's your subset of data and what's what, right? If you're like Baja 2012, Baja 2022, right? I can figure that out, right? But don't make me hunt for it. You could select absolutely everything in here, right? Like let's say that you have a folder and you're like, this is all the stuff I want her to look at. Don't give me everything, because if I look at I usually will go and hunt it down, but don't give me everything, please, if you can help it, right? Just give me the things that you think I need. But you could literally just select, if you're organized enough, you can select every single thing in your folder that you've been working on for the map assignment, deselect your locked stuff. And these are only locked if you have your project open, right? If you close your project, they're not going to be there, right? And you can compress all of this. And then and you can upload that to Moodle.
okay, yeah, right, yeah. So I know that, like how to like compress it. So you're saying that we should have 2 compressed folders of like 2021 and 2022, and then we're uploading our Word.
You could have 2 compress. So everything can be compressed together. You can compress Word documents with shape files, with CSVs, everything can be together, or it can be separate. The only thing that has to be compressed is your shape file. And so you can do it a lot of different ways. Like, so what I would actually do is I would put everything in one folder, right? That's
Okay.
actually what I like to see, is just actually absolutely everything, your Word document, your CSV, all your stuff.
Right, into our lab 3.
Well, into one compressed folder, like, so that I don't have to go in and extract 1,000 times, because basically,
Okay.
like, let me show you, Taylor. So like, if I go and I'm trying to open, so I download everything. It gives me files with everybody's stuff. Right? If you just had one folder and then one Word document, and this is perfect, right? This is
Mhm.
fine. This is where all of your shape files were. Everything is fine. And so what I'll do is, I want to open this one, and I'm going to look and see. I was like, okay, you have all of your file extensions. Like this will open, right? This opens. This opened fine.
Okay.
You didn't have trouble this wasn't where you had trouble.
Okay.
But so like, and so that's what I would do. Whereas, can I call anybody out last semester? You can definitely do that. Whereas if I get something like, who gave me a hard time? We get something, let's just see. I get some people, let's see, what did Ariana do to me? Ariana gave me 2 separate compressed files and 1 Word document. She could have just package everything up together and just make me unzip it one time, right?
Okay.
But like really just, and you can do that, like every single thing, like you can compress folders, right?
Okay.
So this can go send to a compressed folder. So you can make subfolders in there, right? You can be like 2021, 2011, Word document, CSV, selected, as folders, selected all, compress it, send it over. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so inside of our compressed folder, I mean, obviously there's going to be like every single file for the specific, like, I guess, data, like where it ends in like the .csv, whatever, whatever. So we would have that for the Baton Rouge one. We'd
or
have that for
whatever, your
the,
subset of data.
yeah, we'd have that one for the Baton Rouge one. We would also have that one for the coastal Louisiana. And then we would have our Word documents and the CSV file that we got from the website.
So if you're using
So it'd be like 4
as an
things.
example,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess I'm just kind of confused on like what information we're turning in. You know what I mean? Like I know how to turn it into a compressed file,
You're
but
going
it's
to
just like,
submit
what
your
do you need?
CSV, your shape
Yes.
files, and a Word document that includes your map and your language.
And the shape files includes the Baton Rouge and the coastal Louisiana.
In this example, but that's not your
Yes.
assignment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
In this example, it would be those 2, right? And
Yes.
so,
Okay.
like if you were doing, Virginia, North Carolina, that's fine. And I say, I just want something that's in Louisiana. So like, let's say that you were comparing indigo snake in
Mhm.
Louisiana to indigo snake in Alabama, right? Like using GBIF data. Like that's fine. That's great. That's okay. I just want one of those subsets of data to be in Louisiana if you're comparing them spatially. If you're comparing them over time, then stay in Louisiana and just look at 2 different time periods.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
No, it's good to clarify, of course. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions about that?
So is any of what we did today due at all, or we just don't turn any of it in because it was just like practice?
It was just practice. Nothing
Okay.
Please do. Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
You got it. So this is going to be due not this Friday, but next Friday. Isn't it Friday? Tuesday. What do I say? Do I have map assignments due on Friday? Where's our calendar? I feel like it should be due on Tuesday, but I say Friday. It's gonna be Friday. It's Friday. What's the date next Friday? Friday. It's like the 4th.
Yeah, it's the 4th.
4th. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So let's be Friday, 10/4, 5 p.m. And so you have like 10 days of work. All right. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions?
Do we have a homework due this Friday or just the map?
Nope. Just the
Okay.
map assignment. Yeah, just the map assignment, and then I'll assign story map worksheets next week. next week, it's probably not going to be an issue because I know how we are. We all usually have our phones like, up our nose, but make sure that you have your phone with you because we're going to be doing some apps, like using Esri apps and figuring out how you would collect data, spatial data in the field on your phone and using different programs. So yeah, so that's what we're going to be working on next week. Map assignment due on Friday. I'm going to assign a story map worksheet on that Tuesday that will be due the following Tuesday, but it's pretty straightforward. So we should be okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions about anything? I don't think you all will go in the field, right? For one of your map assignments. I will be in town doing field work, but it's unclear when, so I'm just reluctant to schedule anything where I'm there with you guys because I don't know if it'll get changed or not. But you guys will be going out. I'm not gonna like send y'all out into the woods by yourself. You're welcome to go. I give you options for woods, but I know it would be way more fun. Okay, any questions about homework or anything? Everybody good?
I had a quick question. I'm sure it's in the syllabus, but if,
Okay.
just on the top of your head, for the story map, is it just animal based or is it just like natural resources in general?
No. So that's a great question. So we'll talk more about this during this lab, but
Okay.
when I send this, but 100%. So no, it is a conservation issue of the
Okay.
Southeast. And I only say that I like it to be the Southeast because I know more about those data sets, right? But thinking about what other students in our class have done, like we've had people that have done longleaf pine forests. I had one student that did injection wells, which like I didn't really know what even they were about, like crazy. Like you could do something about oil pipelines, you could look at levees, like it just a conservation issue. Doesn't have to be wildlife, doesn't have to be botany based, doesn't have to be plants. Like it can be an issue. It can be water quality. I had somebody do water quality, which is a big data set to kind of work with. So that's the point of you guys are going to submit this story map worksheet with your ideas, and then I'm going to tell you how I could see that working, right? So thinking about, and again, remember what I mentioned, a couple classes ago, like make it something that you actually care about, that can help you with something else, or else you're just going to resent it. So make sure I'm like, Francesca's really into muscles right now. Maybe she'll do muscles. I don't know. Or maybe she's like, doesn't want to do it anymore. Maybe she's just
I definitely am like this whole semester. So
Oh, fantastic. Oh, good. So you're like in muscle land, right? So Francesca will do muscles and she'll do, like whatever that means. And so you might not be looking at like occurrence data of your species of muscle. You might be looking at some key metric of muscle abundance, right? Like you might be looking at like, atrazine or pollution or any other thing, right? It could be. And so I'm going to help you guys figure out what data set you can get to, because a lot of times what we end up doing is we're like, oh, I want to talk about ocelots against the and the United States and border of Mexico. Like I really want to talk about ocelots. And so you're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go get occurrence data. Do y'all know how evasive those organisms are? Your occurrence data is going to be terrible. What you really want to look at is habitat data. And that's kind of where we try to get everybody in this entire degree to, is that like wildlife management 97% of the time is about habitat management, right? You're very rarely going to get a chance to do like captive breeding or something like that, or like touch an animal. I mean, we get you on some creatures, right? But when it gets to it, you're going to be managing habitat. So anyway, okay, cool. Any other questions? Does everybody know where they went wrong on the homework if they went wrong? And if you don't, do you want to talk about it, or are we good? All right. Y'all go be free. Let me know.